Today with me, I have Neelkanth Mishra, the founder and CEO of Jaljeevika. He is passionate about the fish water plant farming industry. He's linking the fragmented components, farmer groups, government schemes, fishery research institutes, and market to unleash the full potential of this particular space. He's also an Ashoka fellow. Welcome, Neelkanth.
Thank you, Santosh. Thank you for inviting.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. Our viewers would love to know a bit more about
Jaljeevika is a social enterprise, and what we are looking for, exploring the potential of each and every water bodies, how it can be used for the livelihood sector. And you might have known like various watershed government program, MG Narega program, they all create so many water bodies for basically for the irrigation for the crop. These water bodies can also be used for layering different layer of other livelihood like fish farming or aquaponics, hydroponics, something else. So that ensures the another levels of food security, household nutrition security, as well as marketization of the product. So that space we work.
right. And what led you to this particular space? What was the trigger?
So trigger point, it goes back to 2006-7, I suppose. So that time I was working with Oxfam, and the project I was leading was ensuring entitlement right over the pond for fishing community members, the cooperative members in Madhya Pradesh. So during that process, we found like once the entitlement was ensured by government policy, like all water bodies will have first right to this fishing community and the fishery cooperative members. The challenge came like they were not sure what to do with these water bodies. So again, there was the trap with the middleman, contractor, the credit providing persons, and they were remaining as a laborer in their own water field. So there we started thinking like, what's the gap? So the gap is skilling, the knowledge. They were not sure of what are the different market-based process can happen with their producers. So yeah, that was the trigger point. And then I seen like there was very few organization. In fact, there was no organization working in this space. People were very much sure to work on the agri space, livestock sector, working on the watershed, this NRA. But the moment I requested people to use their water bodies also with this angle, they were a sense of skepticism or something. So it was completely like vacuum. There was no such thing. And then few data I read during that time, like at the time of 1950s. And whenever we say like fishery, the first thing came in mind is the marine fishes, pomfret, ravas, and all those things. And it is also a export commodity. Lot of figure we get, government is earning 30,000 crore from fish export. It's all marine. But the moment when I started working on that aspect, I started reading a lot at policy level, found like nearly the 70% of fish production in India is all from the freshwater. It's not from marine. Marine contribution is hardly 30%, but it is all accounted. Data, it's export commodity, so every record is kept. But in freshwater, the moment the fishes are sold from the pond, no one knows how much kg a farmer sold to the market and how much a vendor retailer sold. So there is no record available. So the contribution in the Indian economy for this freshwater, there is a historical lack of evidence, gap of data. So with those ideas, we thought, why not to work when there is such a huge population is dependent and they are all small and marginal. Let's dedicate some year for this cause.
That's very nice. And which are the states that you're working in currently?
So currently we are in Maharashtra, preliminary, then in Bihar, UP we are starting. But before pandemic, we were into Andhra Pradesh, we worked in Orissa, West Bengal, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh.
Right. And I heard you mention that this particular space is not as hot as agri when it comes to focus and people's attention. So how do you get talent in this space to run the show for you in these states?
So it's difficult. That has been a challenge with the Jaljeevika. Like there is no pool of experienced people in this sector. So always it happens like we need to bring very young fishery graduates to our domain. And then after 1 or 2 years of exposure with the institutions at rural level, because in the college, we all know students are taught only one thing. If they are fishery graduates, they know all the things, all the science of how fishes are grown, but how this human relation happens, how the institution function, SHG, FPO, cooperative, all those things are not part of their curriculum. So it takes learn all those vocabulary and then steps, how this program functions. So it has been like very much challenging, but yeah, that's how we function. Like always, it's dependent on the new talent who come by voluntary and then learn few things that can be useful for the community. So there is a really huge gap of human resources.
So you are training them ground up. So are they all qualified, or they also can be semi-qualified to join you if anybody wants to be part of this mission?
Initially, we were taking only the engaging only with the fishery graduate, but over the year we have seen this framework is also not sustainable. So no, we developed our own curriculum. It's called the Aqua School. It's a physical setup in the rural area where local community resource person, they are trained over all the part of the fishery aquaculture, and they become their extension agents, knowledge provider to their own community member. Only when the situation is little bit out of control, then only they comes to discuss with the expert. So in that direction, we are building a kind of cadre of human resources change makers. It also provided a lot of social value to their work. Like earlier, they were only like women who are doing some work, but now they are seen as knowledge pool of fishery based thing. So there is a lot of social recognition. It's also a social change process more than the economic change process, I will say. And we welcome any kind of people. For last 2 year post pandemic, I will say, like, we have included a lot of people, like people from the media background, people from the communication, rural development, social enterprise, even the people from IT background. They're all joining.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a very exciting space for them once they come on board to see these things really fructify in front of them. Now, taking a step away from Jaljeevika, you back a little bit in time about your early job, your first job. What was it, and who were the initial people who really kind of inspired you, motivated you in your journey?
So initially, I was part with the human rights movements, worked with the tribal rights community members, community leaders, forest community in Jharkhand, Orissa. So that was my profile. If I go further, before that also, I had joined a very unique movement. It's called the anti-witch hunting movement. So a lot of women in the tribal area, they are crucified, like branded as witches. And then the local witch doctor or the Oja, they brand someone as witches, and lot of they are discarded from the society. Lot of brutality also happens. Physical violence also happens. And there's no law to protect them. So there was a group of legal professionals in Jamshedpur when we started working on anti-witch hunting campaign, and further it became a act also in Bihar and Jharkhand initially in 1999, 2000, I suppose. So that was my first exposure. So lot of learning from those social movements, thematic social movement, and then we started working with the land right forest movements in Jharkhand, Andhra Pradesh. So yeah, initial 5 year I was more into rights and entitlement space. And when I joined Oxfam, there also my program, what I was looking for this entitlements of the fishing community, it was more from the human right angle. But somehow I could find a sense of requirement of market, requirement of skilling in this space. And post that, I only worked on this fishery thing.
Nice. And do you remember anybody who influenced you very early?
There was always so many those who inspired. Like in Jharkhand, there is a very known name, Ghanshyamji, who worked on the tribal rights for his entire life from the JP movement. Then Sanjay Basu Malik, he always worked on the forest economy, forest rights. Yeah, Father Ranjit Topo, he taught us like how to listen everything with patience, and then don't rush to develop a program, but just be with the community, slow down. So all those theory they have given us during our college days. So yeah, there were so many people.
Wow, amazing. So all of these people would have also had a major impact in your developing your core leadership values. So if I were to ask you, what are your core leadership values as we speak?
It's very difficult question. What are my core leadership value. But one thing I do practice is being transparent with the team member. So for each and every financial transaction, to putting a grant proposal or whatever discussion happens, the stakeholder. So I do share everything with the team without thinking like they are from the admin people or the potential second line people. So it's all kind of information sharing, even though all the office documents, financial transaction, it's all transparent for every. Yeah, with the hope like this will bring another layer of people who start, value the social sector. It's not always the closed working group of few leader. It's also very much open. It's also very much like corporate. Yeah.
And it also builds in a huge amount of trust within the organization, the whole
That's
transparency thing.
that's true.
So which is phenomenal. Now coming to your organization again, especially with COVID, and now that seems to be a life which is continuing with us. So what are the challenges that you're facing with COVID, without COVID, and how do you overcome those challenges?
So what means we all face the same challenge in COVID. Everyone's opportunity. There was a huge opportunity loss, and for last many years only worked at the community level. So we always thought like that is our core strength. Motivated people and then start working with them with the right package of practice. Then the entire movement ceased. So it was like a handicapped kind of feeling. You can't move, you can't do any help to the community, and then suddenly all the resources which was level gets dried up. Means people withdraw, they put their resources for the immediate requirement in the health and saving life of others. So the entire this boat was sinking at the time, and by December there were no resources was available to sustain the process. So it happened so quickly, there was no time to build a strategy and then start doing something differently. So that happened, but fortunately what happened, the team member, mostly we were working from the home, and there was no work to work from the home. So it was always, exploring something new. So that exploration process helped us a lot to move towards the digitalization, move towards using the new technology, the IT, how we can incorporate that part to work in scale. So that happened. And when everything start opening now, the shift within the organization, I'm not talking about each and every individual, but within the organization, it's so now digitization, IT, database, all those, even the terminology, the vocabulary becomes so normal to us, and started working in that direction. So we made an app which can integrate all the farmers. Now that testing is happening. We made a market linkage, developed web platform for the farmers. So all those things, so many products which happened without any funding support. It all happened with the pro bono support of so many people like JP Morgan, Accenture, Microsoft. This last 1.5 years was more as a self rediscovery, and start adopting the importance of IT world with this physical activity what we were doing. So now this convergence has become so fast. This hybrid model we have adopted so fast, we feel much more confident.
Wow, okay. So the positives obviously is sorry, the adoption of technology and helping you build the scale. Speaking of which, it brings me to the point of innovation, because your space, especially the livelihood or the water space, there's a lot of potential for new innovations to come through. So what are you seeing are the changes in this particular space, and how do you influence innovation within your organization community?
So at organization level, as I mentioned, the change what we are bringing is thinking of the paperless office kind of thing, where every desktop or every laptop should function as an office. So in that process, we aim to achieve in next 1 year. So that's the one change process. The second thing, at community level, innovation means water and livelihood. Yes, of course, there are involved. There are so many things are happening. People are using biofloc, recirculatory aquaculture, everything in-house, digitalize aquaculture, and looks so inspiring, so powerful, colorful. But in our Indian context, what I see, there is a little scope to jump for the innovation at this moment. Innovation is always innovation, or the new practices, new way of working is always required. I suppose when you reached a certain level. Like after crossing school only, going to college makes sense, or after college going for a professional course make a sense. Just from class one going for a engineering class doesn't make any good to the student. So same thing like that. We have more than 7 million hectare of water body, fresh water body, and many million more which is unaccounted. So let's consider only what is in the data. And out of 7 million hectare, only 3 to 3.5 million hectare are the part of fishery based activity. So still there is a huge gap of 50% water bodies out of production system. To bring that itself into production system is a huge opportunity. Rather than start thinking like from 1 acre, let's start earning 10 metric ton of production. It's possible, but again, it will skew the market. Like one farmer will become much more richer, one farmer will remain the poor. The first attempt, what we are thinking is let's have a vision where each and every water body become part of the production system. One alternative food production or alternative livelihood production happens through those. Then only the digitalization or any aggregation, all those things make sense. Like which happens in a country like Israel, or where the lands are scarce, then going for the multiple level of farming, hydroponics, and all those things make sense. But here we have like hectare of hectare waste land and the water body unutilized. In every city, you will find it. There are numerous big reservoirs. Hardly it is been used for fish catch. So bringing, inspiring people to adopt it, I think a huge task.
Yeah, absolutely. And wishing you all the best on this particular mission because that's quite huge. No leadership conversation is complete without the challenges. And the second most thing is, what is the toughest decision that you had to face or you had to take in your career? So could you share some insights on that?
Yeah, in that case, what I do itself, it was a huge decision. Like there was a lot of professionally good trajectory was happening in my life. I was part of a South Asia level larger program. I was coordinating a South Asia level program, and then one day just left that, and I was so sick of attending the 5-star workshop. I just in one day I left that and then started Jaljeevika. So it itself was a huge turning point, and it impact a lot on the personal freedom, your thought, your free time, everything. The moment you become a founder, there is no turning back. Like other people can take leave, but
Yeah,
your life becomes like clock to clock. There is no free time.
true.
So yeah, that's the challenge point.
True.
Unless there is a ample resources to attract new talents who can, share your burden with their skill and capacity, which is also required. Just with sheer motivation, the show doesn't go so long.
Right. So you're doing really powerful work, and I really wish you a lot of success. What would be your final notes for the viewers about how they can come and contribute in your journey and be part of your?
Various way means in the social space where we work, it's I always say like we work with the fishing community and with this commodity, but it doesn't mean everyone should be technically qualified on doing the fishery. So there are various things like someone can help us in configuring the Joho. It is itself we are struggling. Email marketing, designing the creative content, or doing the video, or doing the animation by any means, or doing the market study, helping us to find out the recent data from the government sector or the private sector, which can be used for the analysis. So there are various, we welcome people to join our process.
That's great. And we will put out your communication details for people to reach
Sure.
out
Yeah.
to you. Thank you so much for your
Thank you,
time.
Santosh.
This
Thank
has
you.
been really valuable for me personally as well, and wishing you all the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.